All right, let's talk Atlanta Falcons. One of the bigger questions involving the Falcons this offseason is what are they going to do with Kirk Cousins? And based on some recent reporting and things you're hearing in the media, it seems the Atlanta Falcons are heading in one direction. But when you actually take a deep look into the numbers and analyze the situation, it's very clear. And in fact, it's actually screaming everyone in the face that the Falcons are heading in actually a completely different direction. Exciting news out of Atlanta. But first, I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, so the Falcons this entire offseason up to this point, everyone has just assumed they're going to release Kirk Cousins. In fact, Adam Schefter came out recently and said all reports, all executives in the NFL seem to be saying, hey, the Falcons are going to cut Kirk Cousins, move off of him, focus on Michael Penix Jr. going into the future, right? But when you actually break down the numbers, it doesn't make sense. So we got a few graphics here. This is all courtesy of overthecap.com. Let's pull this first one up here. This is showing what would happen if they cut Kirk Cousins and designated a pre-June 1st cut. That's just a traditional veterans release. You can see right there that Kirk Cousins' cap number, what he would count against a salary cap in 2025 is 40 million bucks. His dead money would be $65 million, and the Atlanta Falcons would not have any cap savings by cutting him. So they'd eventually eat that additional $25 million, massive dead money on the books. That's not ideal, right? When you cut someone, you're hoping to minimize minimize your dead money and hopefully free up some cap space. That's a huge number to hit. But maybe they designate him as a post June 1st release. Let's pull this up. Here you can say they don't save or lose any cap money. That's great, but their dead money is $40 million. So just to circle back again, people thought, well, we can't keep Kirk Cousins on the roster because it's expensive to have a $40 million backup. But if they cut him either as a traditional pre-June 1st release or a post-June 1st release, he will cost that amount or more. So basically, keeping him on the roster is just as cheap as cutting him, or in some cases, cheaper than cutting him, depending on how they structure it. So what does that mean? It means that they likely are planning to trade him. I think they're going to get it done. Why does Kirk Cousins want to get traded? Because they have a no trade clause. Everyone's like, well, Kirk Cousins, he wants to get cut because he wants to go to the team that he wants to play for. I don't think that's accurate because if Kirk Cousins gets cut and goes somewhere, he will take a very Russell Wilson to the Steelers deal, 1 year deal, incredibly cheap. But if you look at Kirk Cousins' current contract, let's pull it up. 2025, his base salary is 27.5 million bucks. 2026 and 2027, $35 million each with $10 million roster bonuses each of those next 2 years. Now, Kirk Cousins, wealthy guy, but those are legit tens of millions of dollars. I don't care if you want to just go where you want to go play football and have total control. Getting 50, 60, 70 million extra dollars, hey man, there's a lot of guys that'll go wherever they can. So I think this is a situation here where what we're seeing in the media is I think reports of teams that are trying to get the Falcons to lower their value so they can get Kirk Cousins for a cheap draft pick or something like this. Because when you break down the numbers, there's only one thing that's clear, at least this is my opinion, the Falcons are about to trade Kirk Cousins. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. I know I just ranted for a long time, but Falcons fans, you first. My take, my opinion, based on the numbers, I think it makes sense. The Falcons are going to trade Kirk Cousins. That's my thought. Maybe you disagree. Let us know in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on just these numbers, the Falcons, and just everything going on with the Atlanta right now?
Yeah, Nick, I agree with you in a couple things here. You look at the numbers, and it just does not make sense to flat out cut Kirk Cousins. Neither of the options make sense. You'd be better off just keeping him. Why are you going? You at any rate, let's say you do the post June 1st, and it's a dead even. That you gain or lose no money. Well, what are you doing? You're losing the asset of Kirk Cousins being whether he's a veteran mentor, whether he is a valuable backup quarterback once he gets healed from his injuries, whatever the cases be, it's just still a net negative for the team to cut him. So I agree with you here. I don't think cutting Kirk Cousins is going to be the answer. I think they'd be better off keeping him rather than cutting him. I do like the trade aspect, and I do agree with you. I think that Kirk Cousins wants to be traded and try to keep his current deal. I don't know anyone who wouldn't want to keep that current deal for Kirk Cousins because, like you said, it's so beneficial for him. That's a lot of money on the table for him to have to, move off of if he were to get cut, if he were to go get some Russell Wilson s type of deal. I don't think that's what he wants. So, although he does have the no trade clause, although it does make a lot of sense for him to like try to control his destiny, I think Kirk Cousins is probably better off trying to let the Falcons broker a deal with whatever gets them the best odds as well, because no matter where he goes, that's it. That's the money. And Kirk Cousins, quite frankly, he's not the guy that you trade for. I'm just one Kirk Cousins away from winning a Super Bowl. That's what the Falcons thought, and it didn't work out. It showed that wasn't the answer. I think there's a couple of rosters around the league, like where if you're the Detroit Lions, if you swap Jared Goff, which probably is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins, he could do good things there because they have such a stacked roster, such great coaching. But that's not a good move. It's not a savvy move. There's no like contenders that are like, oh, I'm just one Kirk Cousins away. So I think Kirk Cousins going to wherever a team needs him the most is best for him and is also best for the Falcons. So I think we're going to see something done despite all of the rumors, despite everything out there saying they're going to cut him. He has the no trade clause. He's not going to want to help work a deal. I don't think that's true. I think we're going to see something amicable happen between the two parties.